Antonio Loiacono was a 20-year-old larrikin, never short of surprises.
He was full of life and he just wanted everyone to be happy.
Last year, Antonio and his mum went to Asia together. It was a special trip, just the two of them.
Typical Antonio, you know, he makes friends with everyone.
Was he good at footy?
I'm not being biased, but he was good. He was quite gifted. Yeah.
Do you love watching him play, or would you get nervous for him?
I definitely, to be honest, from post-2016 onwards, I would get nervous because my younger son had such a bad concussion where he got transported to hospital in an ambulance with a neck brace.
Jack would never play football again, and in the same year, Antonio was also concussed. But in April, Wendy put her nerves aside to watch him play his first game of the season.
And I see this kid on the oval, flat as a tack, not moving. I think that's my son, because I saw his blue footy boots and just knew that was him. And then I yelled, "Get the defibrillator." You could actually hear a pin drop. It was incredibly surreal. And I know he wasn't responsive, but I thought maybe he could still hear or feel my energy. So it was very important that I remain calm.
The player for the Birdwood Football Club was airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital just before 8 last night.
It was just like a bad movie. And, you know, we're going to stop watching and everything's going to be fine. Meanwhile, I'm getting hundreds of messages on my phone saying, "Oh, things are going to be fine." And I knew they weren't. So I was talking to Tones and I said, "You know, we'll just change our lifestyle. I'll build a house with wheelchair access and, you know, I'll stop work and I'll just dedicate my life to you."
By the next day, Antonio's family had gathered by his bedside, but the 20-year-old would never wake up.
The provisional cause of death of Antonio is head injury. So, yeah. But I certainly expected him to come home. Sorry.
That's right.
Can we just stop for a sec?
Sweetie, of course. Wendy recalls a conversation her dying son may have never heard.
I had a great conversation with him, actually. I had many conversations. But I did say that I will make sure his spirit flies high and make changes, especially around concussion and organs.
When Antonio got his driver's licence a few years ago, he made his views on organ donation clear.
He said, "Mum, Jack, are you organ donors?" And I'm like, "I don't know, actually." And he said, "Well, I am, and if you're not, you should be."
South Australia is the only state that still allows people to register for organ donation on their driver's licence. The rest of the country relies on people logging their decision on the organ donor register. Only 1 in 3 Australians is registered. Nurse Jo Brooks met Wendy to discuss organ donation on the day Antonio died.
And I could see immediately from Wendy's response that she had either spoken about donation with her son or that it was definitely something she thought that Antonio would like to do.
When Jo was going through the organs, it got to the eyes. For me, it was like, oh, the eyes to the soul, you know. But Jo picked up on my body language and she goes, "Wendy?" And I said, "No, that's fine." She goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, that's fine." On the day he went to theatre, Jo rang me around lunchtime and said, "I'm just letting you know everything went well, except for one thing." And I said, "Oh." And she said, "But I think you'll be happy." His eyes weren't a good match. But even if they were okay, I would have been okay with that too.
Your boy has left behind such an incredible legacy. He has saved a number of lives.
So he's saved 6 lives.
Wendy has written letters to all 6 families who received a life-giving donation from Antonio.
Our family's experiencing a tragedy, but then their family's getting life. I left the heart till last because the heart's not just the heart to me. It makes you who you are as a person. And he had such a big, lovable, authentic heart.
How do you want Antonio to be remembered?
He may not be here physically, but he's definitely up there in spirit. So I would hope that people that look at Antonio's tragedy get something out of it to maybe change their life, whether that be through organ donation or, you know, playing a bit safer in sport or watching a sunset and putting a smile on their face.
Oh, wow. I think being an organ donor is one of the most magical things you can ever do. Like the idea that you could, you know, just give that life to other people. But it is so important to have those conversations with the people around you that are left behind, because in those emotional moments you can understand why people would say, no, 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 please don't touch them, don't do anything. You know, it's a very emotional moment, but you need to know that that person truly wanted that, so that you can do exactly what she's just done and give that gift to so many people, particularly because he was so passionate about it.
It's one of those things that you have to affirmatively think about and then take steps to actually put in place.
Definitely.
And nobody thinks to do that because, you know, you're young and you're fine and it's not something that people feel comfortable talking about. But, God, it's so important, as we just saw.
If you do want to think about it, you can find out more information on organ donation via our website. The details are there right now.